At exactly 6:12 p.m., the flames were already clawing their way through the walls of my house when I realized the unthinkable me daughter was still upstairs. I screamed her name as thick, choking smoke filled the hallway. Olivia! I charged toward the staircase, heat blistering the paint on the walls. She couldn't move without the elevator. And that's when it hit me. It wasn't just a fire. It was retaliation. Just that morning, Meredith Clark, our HOA president, had barked from my porch, "Remove that lift or suffer the consequences." I didn't realize she meant it literally. She didn't know I had once sat on the federal bench, that I'd given up my robe to care for Olivia after the crash that left her paralyzed. Meredith had never liked us. Said our home was too institutional, that it made the neighborhood look like a rehab center. When she showed up that morning in heels and a pearl necklace, waving a stack of violation notices like she was issuing a warrant, I could already smell the venom. "Mr. Grant, the lift, the ramp, those extra wide doors, none of it meets HOA aesthetics. You've been fined $5,000. If it's not fixed by Friday, more fines will come." I stayed calm, though my fists clenched behind the door. "All of these are legal accommodations protected under the ADA," I said. Olivia wheeled into view behind me, her soft voice asking, "Dad, what's going on?" That's when Meredith's eyes narrowed. "Maybe your kind would be more comfortable somewhere else." I stepped in front of my daughter and told her to leave. Meredith turned on her heel. "This isn't over." It got worse. The next day, our mailbox was smashed in. A note taped to it read, "Disabled, not welcome." The HOA began citing us for nonsense: unauthorized blue curb paint, non-standard railing, excessive medical equipment in view. I attended the next HOA meeting armed with paperwork proving everything was legal. Meredith stood and sneered. "Mr. Grant thinks his past job gives him a pass from the rules. We're trying to preserve our neighborhood's image, not turn it into a pity parade." I stood. "I know exactly how the law works, Miss Clark." Her voice rose. "Your daughter's situation is unfortunate, but it's not our burden. That lift is ugly, and frankly, her presence disturbs people." Gasps filled the room. Even her allies looked uneasy. "This meeting's over," I said, voice low. "If this harassment continues, I'll take legal action." That night, my security camera caught Meredith and two men tampering with the circuit box that controlled Olivia's medical bed and elevator. When I confronted her, she grinned. "Take me to court. My brother-in-law is the district attorney. You'll waste your breath." I started documenting everything. The next 3 days were tense. Olivia and I tried to keep things normal until a wall of smoke crashed into our living room like a silent wave. The fire had started at the back of the house right near the lift. A neighbor's footage showed Meredith walking into my backyard with a gas can just an hour earlier. I carried Olivia through the smoke, but her breathing was labored, and the front door was blocked by fire. I was about to break a window when Mr. Langley, our neighbor, burst in with a fire extinguisher, clearing a path. We barely made it out alive. Olivia collapsed into the paramedics' arms as flames swallowed the home we had built for her recovery. From the ambulance, I made the call I never wanted to make. "Judge McAdams? It's Nolan Grant. I need help." The investigation was fast. Fire marshals found accelerants near the elevator and gas residue on the deck. Surveillance showed Meredith clearly. When the police cuffed her, she said, "I just wanted to damage that equipment. How was I supposed to know the whole place would burn down?" She was charged with arson and attempted murder. The neighborhood flipped overnight. People who once looked the other way now brought us meals, clothing, and offers of shelter. The district attorney, her brother-in-law, recused himself. A special prosecutor called me personally. "Judge Grant," he said, "I argued in your courtroom once. I had no idea you were the victim." I replied simply, "We're pressing for hate crime charges." The evidence was overwhelming: camera footage, gas traces, and the kicker, Meredith's group messages to HOA members. "Once they're gone, we can finally clean up the block." I wore my old federal suit to the arraignment. When the presiding judge recognized me, he blinked. But I didn't come as a judge, I came as a father. This wasn't just arson, I told the court. It was a targeted attack against my disabled daughter, born of cruelty disguised as community standards. Olivia spent 3 days in the hospital with lung damage. Her pulmonologist explained to the court the long-term risks. The fire chief testified about the accelerants. Meredith sat silent as her own texts were read aloud. The judge denied bail. The HOA board resigned in disgrace. A public apology was delivered, and the neighborhood raised over $200,000 for Olivia's care. Volunteers helped rebuild our home wider doors, a built-in elevator, therapy spaces. A local contractor whose niece had the same condition as Olivia offered his labor at cost. Meredith eventually took a plea, 15 years in prison. Her husband filed for divorce while she awaited sentencing. In civil court, we seized her assets to fund a trust for Olivia's lifelong medical needs. On sentencing day, Olivia asked to attend. Now 16, her voice was still raspy from smoke damage. "Your Honor," she said, facing Meredith, "I forgive her. But I want her to understand something. My life has value. Everyone's does. No ramp or chair should ever be seen as shameful." The judge looked at Meredith. "Ms. Clark, you torched the home of a federal judge and nearly killed a child. And for what? Property values." He shook his head. "You've destroyed far more than any elevator ever could." 6 months later, our rebuilt home stood proud. The new HOA charter protected accessibility. Mr. Langley became president and added a community fund for disability renovations. Olivia spoke at her school and launched a campaign that spread nationwide, accessible for all. The same street that once judged us became a model for inclusion. One afternoon, a family moved into Meredith's old home. Their teenage son, Elijah, used a wheelchair. Olivia smiled from our porch. "That's Elijah, we've been talking online." His dad approached us cautiously. "We heard this is the friendliest neighborhood in the state. Is that true?" Olivia nodded. "It is now. Welcome home." On the anniversary of the fire, we hosted a community unity event. The mayor came. So did news crews. When asked if I'd return to the bench, I said, "No. My most important job is being Olivia's dad. But I will be working with lawmakers to make sure what happened to us doesn't happen to anyone else." Weeks later, I received a letter. The prison chaplain wrote that Meredith was part of a restorative justice program and wanted to meet. I showed Olivia. She thought a moment, then said, "Everyone deserves a chance to change, even her. So we'll gone it for revenge, but to show her what she built out of her own hatred. Not fear, not silence, but a community that finally got it right."